In this short box, it possesses some of my prized comic books. That's right, guys. Books that you may have never seen in my collection before. I'm Mike Spider Slayer. Welcome back to Comic Book Corner 2.0. If you guys love daily comic book content, you like me helping you make decisions on what comic books to buy, you came to the right place. Go ahead, hit that subscribe button. You guys are not going to be disappointed. I'm hopeful that you guys truly enjoyed this series that I've been bringing you all week, and this is the one that kind of caps it off, showcasing some of my, I still wouldn't say that these are like worth a ton of money, but more of my like prized comic books in my collection, right? I get the question all the time, do you collect back issues? Where do you keep your, most expensive books and the books that you care about? And so, and here we go. So this box, and it's not full, because I have a lot of comics that are worth some value, but these are my favorite ones. I keep them in this cloth box, and it's in the house, so these ones don't get messed up for whatever reason. Like, these are my go-to comic books, right? And I think we're going to showcase these books, and I'm going to showcase, like, what they mean to me just in general, whether it was like a cool book on the shelf or if it has some personal history or something I've always wanted my entire life. So, again, this is a good way to cap off this whole week series that I've done, where it just showcases some of my history of, comic book collecting in general. So, here we go. The first one that we're going to be talking about here is The Amazing Spider-Man. This is issue 4. This is in a clear bag and board here. So this one is pretty cool. This is the first appearance of, the character? This is Silk, right? And so this is one of those books where you get lucky, right? You collect Amazing Spider-Man your entire life, and sometimes, it pays off. This is one of those books that I paid $3.99 for, and you get a first appearance of a character, and she kind of took off, and this kind of started the whole Spider-Verse thing as well. And it's a solid book, and I'm happy that this book definitely has some value today. So yeah, there was that one, right? So that one is kind of cool. The next book has no significant value, I don't think, at all, besides it being a ratio cover. And this is The Amazing Spider-Man. This is issue 32. So obviously why I picked this one up is an homage cover to Kraven's The Last Hunt. And when I was at the comic shop and I picked it up, I was like, man, this is just a cool cover. I'm like, it's just awesome to look at. It just really pops. Like I said, it pays homage. And again, besides it being a 1 in 50, I just don't know if it has any value, right? And so this is one of those books where I probably paid like $25 for it. All right. The next book, we all know this one, right? And this is Ultimate Spider-Man. This is issue 1. This is probably the most modern day Spider-Man comic book that you'll find that has value to it. Is it a significant amount of value? I don't know, maybe $25, $30. I have no idea. I don't keep up with regular prices on comic books. I look at it every once in a while, but if I had to guess, it's probably around the value that book is going for. If it's going for less, it's going for less. If it's going for more, it's going for more. But this is probably one of the best ongoing stories right now when it comes to the character, and this is something that you'll probably keep in your collection for a long time, right? All right, the next one is a little older, and this is the New 52 Batman issue 1. So I told you the story earlier in the week about how I wound up getting into DC Comics, and the New 52 was, that stepping stone, right? It was like that gateway drug into DC Comics. It was this cool cover, right, by Capullo, and the writing style here by Snyder was awesome, and this just kicked it off. And this was $2.99, right? And so based off of this and all the other New 52 books that were coming out, this was obviously the standout, and this was kind of like my real introduction to Batman. So believe it or not, yeah, All right, here's a book that a lot of people were like banking on, right? And this is Batman issue 92. So we went from number 1 all the way to 92, and this is the first appearance of, oh my God, what the heck is her name? I just drew a blank. Oh my God, I can't remember the character's name. Holy crap. Anyway, I'll probably do some research and post it up there. But anyway, when she was being introduced to the Batman comics, right? She was supposed to be like the next Harley Quinn. And obviously it did not turn out that way. You had James Tynion writing this book at the time. And so, yeah, I mean, it says something if I can't remember her name, but this was a big deal at the time. And being that Harley the way Harley is now, and her being like the next Joker's girlfriend, this had some huge spec value on there. But I was happy to get that. My gosh, please leave it in the comments below because I can't remember. The next one is a huge one. Captain America issue 117, the first appearance of Falcon. You see that price. That's what I paid for this comic book, $3. This was well before like Marvel movies hit it off, and this was in my comic shop in the back issue bin, and I was like, ooh, this is a nice old comic book. I'll pick this up. Now, it's in maybe not the best shape, but it's okay shape, and the biggest thing that takes away from it, I think it's this corner that is missing. So based off of what you see here, right, do you think this book is worth more than $3 today? I know things have gone down in price, but again, is it worth more than $3? Hey, I think it is. All right, the next book you may not even heard of, but I've recommended it to a lot of people. This is Chew. This is issue 1. At one point, this book, I think, was going for a ton of money, and I think it's just dropped off tremendously because I think they were supposed to make a show out of it. But alongside with Walking Dead, Invincible, it was John Layman's Chew that I decided to take a gamble on and read. And this book is absolutely awesome as you get Agent Chew, who has the ability to take a bite literally out of crime. He'll bite this apple and he finds out how an apple was produced, how it grew on the tree, how it did all these different things, right? The whole entire run is tremendous. If you've never read this book, it's great. This is one of those books that I won't let go. All right, here is a cool one. This is Daredevil issue 10. I think this is like, is this the first or second appearance of the character? I'm not 100% sure. I can't remember. I remember though I bought this on Whatnot. So this was one of my first major purchases on Whatnot. And obviously during when Whatnot came out, the speculation market was huge, but I paid $20 for this particular book. And this was obviously, again, the other character that had her own TV show, and it was hitting big. So I don't remember if it's the first or second appearance, but it was just cool to win that bid on Whatnot. So that was kind of why this one actually resonates with me. But it's a solid book to have in your collection. All right. The next one is another book that I had that I really didn't realize until later. This is Darth Vader. This is issue 6. This is one of those books where it was like, oh yeah, you happen to buy it, you paid $4 for it, and it's worth money in the future. So this was the first appearance of these characters right here. Again, certain things just slip in my mind that I can't remember. And obviously they were on the Obi-Wan series, if I remember correctly. So yeah, there was that going on. So that's kind of cool. So love the cover here. So again, does it still have any significant value? Not 100% sure. All right, this is another book I bought for cover price. This is the Hulk. This is issue 16, as we have, I think this is the first appearance of Red She-Hulk, so which is Betty Ross in the comic book. So that was pretty cool. Really love the cover here. Again, it was fun to get these books when they were cover price, and then they go up in price in the future. Here is another book that really exploded and actually changed the game for me when it came to the Hulk. This is The Immortal Hulk. This is issue 1. So I have this entire run, and this first issue was just all the rage when this series first came out. Really, really cool book. All right. This is funny. Invincible Iron Man. This is issue 9. So this is the first appearance of Ironheart, right? If anything, this new TV show is going to make this book worth less money, right? So yeah, this is obviously probably a disappointment in a lot of people's eyes, but in 2020 or 2021, 2022, this book was like all the rage, right? So again, this is another one of those books that I didn't pay anything for. I paid $4 for it. So there's that. All right, and then we got Miles Morales, Spider-Man. This is issue 6 as we introduce Miles' girlfriend for the first time. She's the Vulture's granddaughter. So you got that one. That's another one that I paid cover price for. And now we get into a couple issues here that are a little bit older. And this one is Marvel Spotlight, The Moon Knight, issue 28. Is this the second appearance of Moon Knight, or is this his first appearance? I don't remember. But anyway, this is another one of those books I randomly picked up at the comic shop. I don't remember what I paid for it because I think I rebagged and bought it. But it wasn't a lot of money. I think maybe I paid $7 for this book at the time. And I remember this one was, again, same thing, all the rage because of the TV show. And then we also got The Moon Knight issue 1, another book I had for a little while. Paid $5 for this one. This one was going for extreme amounts of money for a long time. This one is in pretty good shape, not in perfect shape, but again, cool to have in your collection. Here is another book that Marvel continues to push. Obviously, it's Ms. Marvel. This is the very first issue of her very first volume when the series was actually really a lot of fun. And I paid cover price for this book, and I feel like this book was worth more money at the time. It's probably not worth anything right now. Next is Nightwing. Believe it or not, why this is in here, this is issue 78. I think this is Tom Taylor's first issue on the run, and I think this did have significant value at the time. I can't see this being more than cover price at the time. All right, here's a book that I have been waiting for ages to go up in price, and this is The Man Called Nova issue 1. How long have they been speculating on this book, right? However, when it comes to this comic book, it's been in my collection forever. Like, I think I paid $1 for this comic book, and it's in decent shape, right? And so I am curious if Nova will ever become a thing in the Marvel Universe. Nevertheless, if it is worth money or not, I think it's a great book to add in your collection here. So that's really cool. All right, here's another one that I wanted when I was a kid because it was just a cool cover, and I got it later on. I paid $9 for this one. This is The Punisher issue 1 from that 4-issue mini series. I remember when I was a kid, this one was made back in 1985. This was one of those books that was hanging up on the wall at the time. Maybe because it wasn't worth a lot of money, but because the Punisher was a newer character and it looked so awesome. So I had to put this in the box to treasure. Another book, and we talked about this earlier about early indie comic books that I wound up getting later on in my adulthood, is Predator issue 1. Made by Dark Horse Comics. Iconic cover. Really love the orange and the yellow here. He's got this spear here. I mean, so well done. This is the first printing of the comic book, so really cool. Here was a book that just blew up, and I have no idea what it's worth these days since the market has cooled off. Saga Chapter 1. So anybody that has read modern independent comic books going back, 5-6 years probably has this, or longer at this point, right? And this first issue, second issue, third issue, like this series blew up because of how bold it was. And this is done by Brian K. Vaughan. And this is one of the books that I read once and I put it away. It's white cover. I mean, it's in perfect condition. This volume, like, I guess it ended at 50 or 54 or whatever it is. Freaking great. This, since it's come back, it hasn't been crap. How about this book? The Savage She-Hulk, issue 1. My gosh, I've had this book as well forever in my collection. I think I got this at another comic shop. This is one of the ones I wanted forever, and I just love this Bronze Age comic. It's so well done. I love this old school stuff. I wish I could get more of this, but my shop personally doesn't carry a lot of it, just because they don't have space for it. But great book. Here is a Something is Killing the Children. I think this is issue 6 variant cover. So this one was actually gifted to me because, believe it or not, I did not buy the first 5 issues of Something is Killing the Children. Somehow I missed first and second issues on the rack, and then I was like bypassing it. And then I heard how good it was, and then it was starting to become worth money, and it was hard to get these books. And so I had this one sent to me going, hopefully you can catch on, and then I wound up buying the trade. So this one stays in that box because it was gifted to me, so I really appreciate that. All right, this one here is Strange Academy, issue 1, as it highlights all the first appearances of these characters. This series done by Scotty Young, and is it Scotty Young who wrote this? Herberto Ramos, I think, does the artwork. Oh my god, I can't remember who actually did it. I think it was Scotty Young. Gosh, it's bothering me. I feel like I gotta open it. No, I'm not gonna open it. I'm just gonna leave it alone. Nevertheless, it is a great book, and I definitely recommend it. This is the J. Scott Campbell cover. So cool stuff. All right, here is a comic that this character doesn't have any real significance, but this was labeled at the comic shop as the first Huntress. And this was an older book, and it looked great, and I loved her old school outfit. So whether if it truly is or not, I thought this was a great looking cover of this character. I had to pick it up. I paid, I don't know, I think it was like $9 for it. It wasn't very much. It's a really old book. So yeah, I was happy to get this in the collection. And I don't have many old DC books, right? But I do have this one, the first appearance of Deathstroke. So this was at the shop as well. I saw it there behind the counter. I was like, oh, Deathstroke is a cool character. Gotta pick him up, right? And so yeah, I did. And it's a little bit faded. There's some like nasty staining right here on this book. But again, like they say, having a copy is better than not having a copy, right? So awesome book right there. All right, and then we got Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles issue 51. Why is this any significance? Because it's the first appearance of the Jenica Turtle, the first female character. A book I had no idea had any significant value until I looked it up, and I paid cover price for that book. How about this one, guys? Everybody knows this one as of late. Thor, issue 1, Jane Foster Thor. This one was huge, and I had multiple copies of this. I think I had 3 copies of it, and I sold 1 copy, and I don't think it's worth nearly what I sold it for in my garage sales that I have once a year. But I decided to obviously keep 1 copy left for myself, so I would always have that first appearance. All right, and of course, you guys know this one. Transformers issue 1, the 1 in 50, and as you traditionally know, I collect like pretty much every single variant cover almost when it comes to the Transformers run. Hard to believe we're on issue 22 at this point, and the run is about to conclude. But this was that first issue, 1 in 50. Special place in my heart. How about this for the 90s collectors? We have Venom issue 1. So, believe it or not, this was a book that I did not have in my collection until I was older. I don't know why. I don't know how I didn't pick it up, but I'm happy eventually I did. I did pay, as you can see, that much money for it. Is it worth that today? Nevertheless, it doesn't matter. It's a kick-ass comic book. We'll love this book forever. Another book that goes side by side with Transformers is Void Rivals issue 4. Now, I think, if I remember correctly, this was the first appearance of a Transformer on, I would think, the IDW line. On the Image Skybound line. This was the first Transformer. Could be wrong, but I think that's why I picked it up. I was like, oh my god, Shockwave is on Void Rivals. First time we've ever seen a Transformer in this universe. So yeah, there was that. All right, and then we have Web of Spider-Man issue 118, the first Scarlet Spider. I bought this book at MegaCon. I remember I saw this, and I didn't pay too much for it. I think it was $25 at the time. It's a newsstand copy, and I was like, oh wow, that's so freaking cool. Am I gonna spend $25 on this comic? Yeah, I did. It's freaking awesome, dude. Just a great comic book to have right there. And then we have this. So this comic book is one of those books back in the day when I drove to the comic shop and I saw it hanging on that wall. I'm like, wow, that Wolverine looks awesome. Look at his blades. And I'm like, man, I would really love that book, but it's like $7, $8, you know? It's like, again, that stuff was so much money back then. So, eventually, I finally was able to buy this series, and I am so happy. Now, as you can see, it's not the best shape. There's a tear right there in the cover, right? But besides that, the book is in decent shape. And again, at least I have it. Maybe one day I'll get a better raw copy. Then we wound up getting issue 2. And then there was issue 3. And then I also wound up getting issue 4 as well. So that was cool. And then I got a couple of graded copies in that series too. Another book that I always wanted, and it took me forever to actually find it, was Wolverine. This is issue 8. So now this is a book that, again, same vein in that shop. I saw it, never bought it when I was a kid. Everyone talked about it, obviously, when the boom happened. And I never could get my hands on this book. And then I went to MegaCon a couple years ago, and I made a deal with the guy because I wound up getting, I don't know, it was another Wolverine book and this book, and I just made him an offer, and he's like, yeah, sure, that's fine. And then just like that, I wound up having this comic book, and this is just an awesome book, man. All right, here's a book that I've had for a very long time, and I got this in MegaCon many years ago. I think the first time I ever went to MegaCon, and this was the first Apocalypse. And obviously this character's been spec'd on forever and ever and ever. Great copy, great shape. Here is another really cool comic book right here. This is X-23, Deadly Genesis. The only thing that makes this book, I think, have maybe any significant value is because it's a variant cover. But this was given to me by a partner that I worked with for the longest time from Mutant Beaver Comics. So it means a lot to me. The guy that was part owner in Mutant Beaver left, so he's no longer there, so I don't work with them anymore. And I think they're going in a different direction. But nevertheless, it's just a cool cover in general. All right, here is a book, an oldie but a goodie. This is The Amazing Spider-Man issue 17. So I think this is either the second or third appearance of Green Goblin. I think that's what this one is. I paid a pretty penny for this comic book. And it's not in the best of shape, but it still has significant value because of the character that's in there, right? And it also has the Human Torch. This is classic. Like, I don't have too many of these older copies of The Amazing Spider-Man. All right. And then the next book we're showcasing here is The Amazing Spider-Man issue 301. So this whole line, the Todd McFarlane line, was that line that I always wanted when I was a kid, and people my age probably have a ton of these at this point. These are a dime a dozen for people nowadays, when it comes to Todd McFarlane's run on Spider-Man, but they're always sought after. Like, everybody wants them, right? And this is obviously like almost that first homage to Amazing Spider-Man 300, right? So great book to have in your collection. That one's in pretty decent shape. All right, let me fix this. And now we get to books. We're almost done here. We get to the books that I encapsulated in a comic capsule, and they're still bagged and boarded. So we have The Amazing Spider-Man issue 298. Again, this book and this book was a books, I should say, that I wanted for absolutely for freaking ever. Before Amazing Spider-Man came out, I wanted these two books, right? And I'll tell you the reason why. The next one here is Amazing Spider-Man issue 300. So there you have it. Those are the big three, right? So 298, 299 were hung up, and 300 was there, but these were two. Only because I got to see Chance. For some dumb reason, I love Chance. Like, he just looks cool. Maybe the way that Todd McFarlane drew him, or whatever the case may be, he just looks so flippin' awesome. I was like, oh man, Spider-Man's escaping those ray beams. Like, I would love to have those books. They were wall books. Could never get them until I was much, much, much older, right? And could spend the money on them. And then with Amazing Spider-Man 300, I wound up getting this one before I got these two. Okay, now I was at Comic Central when I purchased this book, and I remember that this was the book that I did want. And I was like, oh, remember that Amazing Spider-Man book? I talked to Tyson, the owner. I think it was issue 300 where he's wearing the black suit. I was like, that's one of those books that I've always wanted. Could you get me a copy? And he's like, yeah, I can find you a copy of it. And he's like, and if you want, he's like, you can make a payment plan on it. And he's like, you can give me some money each week until it's paid off, and then, I'll give you the book. I was like, oh, okay. So that's what I wound up doing, right? Now, again, this is before the Venom movie came out, the Spider-Man movies came out, right? So all before that. And I wound up paying $180 total for this comic book, right? But it was paid off $5 here, $10 there, $20 there, until it was paid off. And it's a good copy. I would probably say it's at least a 9. I mean, if I had to take a guess. Really good copy. Over the moon when I got this comic book. And then I had to get those other two to complete the big 3, right? Here's another book I bought when I was a kid, when I was 15 years old. This is The Amazing Spider-Man issue 361. The book that goes up and down and probably not worth crap these days. But during this most recent comic boom, this thing was all over the place, right? I mean, it was worth a ton. But this one has dropped like a rock. It's the first appearance of Carnage. Like, frig, dude, but everyone's got that book. This book here, just most recently, was gifted to me for a project that I got, and I put it in this comic capsule just because it's decorated real nice. So this is Geiger issue 7. The only thing I could say is pick up this series. It's really, really good, right? One of the biggest surprise books ever is this one right here. Ultimate Fallout issue 4. Weekly comic book warrior, this guy right here, right? Goes to the shop every single week, just buys his comic books. I was reading Ultimate Spider-Man. I read this, because of Spider-Man attached. No one gave a shit about who Miles Morales was at the time, right? And then all of a sudden, this book blows up. And I paid cover price for this book when it first came out. Freaking awesome, right? Another book. And these are the ones that set off Spider-Verse, right? The first appearance of Spider-Gwen, another book that I paid absolutely nothing for. So $4, you get the first appearance. Maybe it was $3. I don't even know. $4. First appearance of Gwen Stacy here. So again, you know how that story goes, right? Then you get the first, I think, what is it? The ongoing series of Ultimate Comics Spider-Man. So again, another one of those books that you never expect anything out of it, and then it becomes something. And it's fun, right? Here's a good one. It's a DC book. I haven't shown you very many of them today, but this is a good one. I paid $20 for this book, I think. And this is, I think, the first... Is it the first Nightwing in this suit? Like, I don't even remember. You know, I'm very bad at remember certain these things. I just have to refresh my memory here. But yeah, this is the book right here. And I picked it up and it was in good shape. And it goes in this comic capsule. So that was kind of cool. This one is a more recent pickup within the past couple of months. The Red Hulk issue 1 variant. This was one of those books that exploded because of the Red Hulk movie, Doctor Doom, the Reflection cover. You got that going on right there. I mean, that is just absolutely awesome. This thing was being sold everywhere. Same thing. I paid like very inexpensive price for that. Another really big book that I wound up picking up, and I'm happy I did. This is a first appearance of many things, like Ultimate Nullifier, third appearance of like Galactus, and all this other crap that goes along in this comic book. And you got the Fantastic Four. This is issue 50. This is the conclusion of that trilogy. Still in, you know, searching for 48 and 49. Will I ever get those books? Will I ever spend that money on those books? I don't know, but at least I have 50, and I got Silver Surfer on the shit brown cover there, right? So there's that one. And then we have this one right here, as we have Wolverine. This is issue, is it 88? Yes. And this is the one where I think Deadpool and Wolverine meet up for the first time and they fight. This is a more recent purchase because of the movie that was coming out. So I was like, oh, this is really cool to have in your collection. So I picked that one up. Okay, so this goes back to the other patch comic book that I picked up, right? For that Wolverine. I made a deal with that vendor at MegaCon for the first patch and the Wolverine issue 1. So Wolverine issue 1 is another book back in the day that was hanging up on that wall, and it's like, buy me, buy me, buy me. And I was like, man, I can't buy that. And forever, this is one of those books that, at least in my shop, I don't see that often, right? And yes, you can buy comic books online. You can find them online and you can purchase them. But I'm not that guy. I like going to a shop, and if a shop has something, I'm like, am I going to buy it? Am I not going to buy it? Can I find it? Like, that's what I like. That's what comics is to me. You can find anything and buy anything online. I'm old school that way. So when I found this at MegaCon, I was like, yes. So I made a deal with him to buy those 2 issues of Patch and Wolverine issue 1. I think it was like $60 or $80 for the 2. So, and there you have it. So 33 minutes later, you got to see some of my most special comic books in my collection. There's more, but these are some of the special ones in that box right there. I would say another special thing is my entire Amazing Spider-Man collection that I currently have as I continue to piece together that first volume. But nevertheless, these are some good ones here. So what did you guys think? Did you like the trip down memory lane and some of these books that I have in my collection? Want to hear all your thoughts in the comment section below. And as always, guys, I'm going to leave you more content from this series for the week for you to click on and check out. And as always, guys, remember, support the local comic shops. Keep buying, keep collecting, but always read your comics so we can have great comic conversation. Guys, thank you so much. I'll see you real soon. Bye.